evening, friends. Can you hear me at the end? Wonderful. So Mohit and I coordinated almost everything in terms of content other than the attire. But I think smart people think alike. And at the end of the session, there is a quiz on Spot the Difference. That we'll do later. But thank you, Indrani. Thank you, Rajesh, who's the program director and like a great shepherd, drove all of us for this wonderful program that's been put together. So delighted to see all of you in the evening. This is supposedly the last session of the day before the best things come. But this in itself is very unique. And you know, today is a very special day, Children's Day. You all are aware of it. But when we were designing this whole session and I was thinking aloud, thinking hard, that many of the things appear to be aspirational when we think of a master class, right? So Nida Fazli said, "Dil hai ki bacche ki tarah zid pe ada hai, ya to chand hi chahiye ya kuch bhi nahi." So in the spirit of that Children's Day, we will make sure that whatever you hear, whatever you see, is that intent of optimism and the belief that we can do it. Then only whatever you're going to hear from Mohit and myself, you will enjoy. If we just keep critiquing and saying this doesn't work, that doesn't work, that's one view, but then we will not get the best out of the session. How we have structured is, given the time that we have, we are starting now, 5:45 was a hard stop for me. I can extend it by 10 minutes. So probably I'll take 10 and 12 minutes to give you a view of what I want to share. Similarly, Mohit, and then we'll open for question and answer for 20-25 minutes. Is that fair? Fair with most of you. If this format we go, we are going to cut short what we were supposed to present so that we can manage it well in time. Friends, you remember this chart? If you see, there was a traditional ERP time when automation was the big thing before 2000s. You remember? Everyone wanted just to make sure that things are automated. And then came an era where companies like Workday came and challenged the global traditional ERPs that you cannot continue in the format that you're doing, where you customize everything and place everything on premise. You remember that? And that era is called the cloud era. Many of us think that we are living in that era, but the world has already moved on, that it's no more SaaS, it's the PaaS. And I'm not just throwing jargons, but I'm telling you really what's happening on ground is people are saying software as a service is fine, but we don't want to get locked with one partner. We want multi-partners to come together and solve my problem. I'm the customer, you are not the problem. So constantly this holding customer to ransom that once you've taken me, you will only be with me is being challenged in the PaaS framework. So we are living in this era of SaaS to PaaS. Wherever you feel you are not finding it clear, just interrupt, you can raise your hand, I will try and clarify. This is the context where we are in. So we are in this zone which has moved from automation to efficiency and now from efficiency to experience. Everything is boiling down to experience. For the first time, I'm so pleasantly surprised that CHROs are saying, okay, show me the ratings on App Store. I don't want to look at anything else. Show me the rating, what my employees saying about the app on the App Store. So it's a big desired and a welcome change that is coming. People are referring to Net Promoter Score from employees. So suddenly there is a difference between a buyer and a user. And buyer is saying, okay, I'm going to listen to user. In traditional world, it was buyer who was deciding everything. So that's the world we are living in, friends. If you look at the market, so many people say 400 billion, 500 billion. That's not true. Whatever assessments I have done with the help of my team at PeopleStrong, the market is at best is about $34 billion. Out of this $34 billion, about $20 billion come from the so-called human capital management. And this $20 billion, if I break further in the world, as always, US walks away with almost half of it. And Asia is about a $6 billion plus kind of a market, which is 1/3. Right? So this 6.7 billion market that Asia is there. If you look at India per se, India turns out to be about $1 billion out of that, which is not an insignificant number. For years, we were told that India is not a significant enough market, correct? But $1 billion in HCM is something that you cannot ignore. We may have the largest volume, but the price points are low. Right? Are you all with me? So it's a 34 billion market, 6.7 in Asia, and billion in India. Right? I'm moving to the next part. You know the other myth, you all feel that what's the most money we give in HR or HCM? Can we take any guess? Where do we give maximum money in HR Tech? Which part of it? Any guess? Go ahead, you can share the point. Sorry? Core HR, very, very nice. So I think this is a biased view. Most of the time people think it's performance, it's talent management, but it's a myth. Actually, it's the core HR workforce management and payroll, where 70 to 75% of the tech budget still goes. And imagine when we buy things, we end up buying for only talent management. So the big dichotomy that we have observed, and this is the detail. I'm going to leave this presentation behind. You will get a copy of it. So you don't have to worry. These are details how they're buying. So we said, okay, if this is the world that we are entering in, which is SaaS to PaaS, it's all about experience, there is a decent sized market exist, then how this new code of work is going to look like. This is the second part that I wanted to discuss, friends. And we wrote a letter to 2028, and we said if there is a summer of 2028, how the world is going to look like. And assume your employee is writing this letter to you. And they are saying, our workplace is closer to being a digital thing that in a building. Virtual attendance or words are quite common and are differentiated from physical attendance, present maybe at any point at our IntelliFied offices or a meeting point in the city. So that's the kind of language which may come up. This is being designed by a group of 12 millennials when they wrote how 2028 is going to look like. We move forward, so they were necessarily saying we want everything to be conversational versus approval hierarchy. Current tech is all about approval hierarchy, right? They're saying we want everything to be conversational. Why they said that? They said we want AI at core, which augment the human workforce. They said we want everything open and connected, not closed and monolithic. Have you heard this problem when the vendors say that my structure is closed, I cannot do an integration? You've heard that? Or we will charge 20 lakh rupees for that, or 30 lakh. That's the world of closed and monolithic. The second trend, people are saying we don't want that, we want open and connected. This is another example where employees are saying every data will be people data. Tell me if employees are unhappy with washrooms not being clean. Don't you think it's a concern for anyone who's managing people? Don't you think it is a people data? But we never take care of it because we think it's not HR. So everything is converging and becoming a people data. How those CHROs, people leaders, will get the view of the data of business and HR in the context of people. So everything is going to converge people data provided you're open and connected. Am I right? You cannot get this data if you're still on a closed and monolithic system. So that's the second trend. Third is people are saying, I want data visualization, I don't want reporting. I'm sure this is the point you all agree and you all are already experiencing at your workplace. So people are saying, okay, even if we are open and connected, I want my data visualization and not reporting. So people are saying data is not going to be controlled or restricted. All EMPs should be able to see it. So I know there are things, so I have a friend who says transparency doesn't mean nudity. But I said the reality of the life is that people want to use data. They are saying what you claim confidential is not confidential for me. So these are the broad three trends that I observed, that if this new world of work or the new code of work is coming together, which will emerge in this letter that we wrote. The next question it came, which is the last part of the conversation I want to have, is what does it mean for an HR department? Okay, there is a SaaS to PaaS, there is an experience being discussed. We are not talking of only automation or efficiency. If that's the take, if those three trends are there, how do I see it in my department working it out for me? So here it starts, and we picked up the three layers of technology. So whenever you're deploying something, have you got your core right? That's the first question, which is your leave, your data, your time and attendance. Have you got your core right? Second is, have you got things which are leading to productivity and collaboration? We cannot say that HR tech cannot contribute to productivity and collaboration because it is very hierarchical and compliance driven. Third and last point, can we think work and workforce and not HR? When we think constantly of HR, it becomes a compliance system. And that's the only point I will drive here. Whenever you're evaluating something or finalizing something, can we place worker at the center and not HR at the center? What's this called? Design thinking. In design thinking, we say we place the user at the center. So that's what we miss when we design our HR tech strategy. So if these are the three things that we're going to focus on, what does it mean? So what does it mean to get your core right? It means, so I'm giving you my example, but you can pick up any examples. Can you get your tech where 30, 40 apps can sit together, maybe competing apps, they are deeply integrated with each other so that employee has one interface. If there is a shuttle bus service and an HR, why do you think employee has to log in twice in two different systems? Why can't they just talk to each other? So that's what we mean that it has to be connected tech. right? So this is a story of Aditya Birla Capital. I'm not getting into detail that how they went about doing this. So our whole experience with them, where they saw 40% improvement in productivity and 94% employee satisfaction from the tech kind of things. So those are the things I'm going to skip. Second last point for this part is, friends, productivity and collaboration. It's easier said than done, right? You all feel that, okay, if we get everything right, still we can't get productivity and collaboration right. So here is an example. Can we use our, not WhatsApp, our communication systems where goals can be set and tracked very easily? Something like this. I'm giving you a indication that how it can be done. You can do strategic goal, you can track them, this performance can be managed, you can appreciate people, you can figure out whether they have achieved the goals or not. All this is very collaborative and something which you have conversation on, you can appreciate. So that's the second part, that messaging systems, emails are dead. People don't want to use WhatsApp for office reasons, for a variety of security concerns. Many companies, are nowadays giving training for emails. I don't know if Facebook does it most of the time. All the freshers who join Facebook are not used to using emails. That's the reality. So emails are down by 30 to 40%. So we need to move to that part. That's the second part that I'm talking about. This is bots being used. Again, I'm going to skip in interest of the time. And this is a live story of how V-Mart leveraged it. So V-Mart is a retail firm. You know what they did? They have some 600 stores and 12,000 people. Whenever they used to release any new policy or an incentive, the store next door used to also implement it within 6 hours. They never understood how it's happening. They had these WhatsApp groups where they used to send a policy, and within 6 hours it used to go because people had left and joined the competition. So that's what damage is happening through the unsecured network on which the company confidential data is traveling. So that's the power that this whole connected collaboration world can bring. And the last is think work and workforce, not HR. What I mean by that, suppose you want to build something on top of your HR, like you want to build a meeting rooms app. Suppose you want to build an ESOP management app. So will you go out again, spend money, find another tool which will do? No, people are saying, can I build my app on the system that I have? So PaaS means platform as a service, where you can really build a whole platform by yourself. You don't need to be a techie. It takes about 2 to 3 hours to build an app. It's an app builder. Within your HR technology, you'll have this app builder. You can use it, build an app on top of it using your current database. Imagine how powerful it is for various functions that your small apps that you require, you don't need to spend money. It takes 2 hours. It is already integrated with your database and you go live. So friends, these are the 3 things that I wanted to discuss and close on this PaaS thing where the world becomes do-it-yourself. Wanted to share. I had quite a few more stuff, but I'm not going to get into the details in interest of time. So the humble suggestion that I have, that I wanted the whole audience to probably pick, and we'll be happy to take questions around it, is that how this whole move will happen from an HR-centric approach to a user-centric approach, where we will say that user will be at the center. So that's what I wanted to share. Thank you so much.